Hello, guys, and welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room for another live stream. Today, joined by three lovely gentlemen. Start with you, Stitches. How you doing today?
I'm all right, mate, but I've got a bubbling anger, as we talked
Yeah,
about. But I'll let that out in a minute. But yeah, man, I'm grateful that I made 2025, and looking forward to all the blessings in the new year and all that. But I'm feeling a little bit resentful at the
yeah, I'm
moment.
sure. I'm sure we'll get onto that. Reese, how you doing? I know you're in a similar boat to Stitches there.
Yeah. No, I'm good to be fair. Obviously, minus the contracts and whatnot, I'm good. I'm enjoying the season. Obviously back to the grind as well. I go back to work properly on Monday, so I'm just looking forward to achieving targets in 2025.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we can kick off the new year with a nice win against United as well. That'll always be a plus. Might touch on that a little bit, but
Yeah.
Hassan, finally, mate, how you doing today?
I'm all good. Just I'm immune to these transfer talks now. I'm just focused on United, and because these things just makes things a little bit sad. So I just block them off and just focus on the game. As Stitches said, that we are top of the league on and on Champions League. Just focus on it. Everything else, because always these transfer things they drag on, and we are used to it. We don't sign anybody. The whole windows goes by. So I think there's no need to focus on that. Just focus on the games and the players we have.
Well, we've got a question straight for you from Lizette. You seen the cricket today? I don't watch cricket, so I have absolutely no idea what's happening there.
Yeah, but he's happy because they won the first test, and second they are doing well against us.
Very nice. Zero interest from myself, but I'm sure there's good players out there doing good stuff. So, but I'll get onto this first because I know everybody is, there's been discussions to say the least in our chat about it. There's also been a lot of talk about it, and unfortunately, it is something that we are regurgitating, and sadly, it's going to be something that is regurgitated because for everybody, including journalists, including Salah, the more media coverage this gets from everybody, you know, everyone makes more money from it essentially. So sadly, it's sort of you're probably going to be hearing a lot, not just from us, but every single outlet, and it's obviously Mohamed Salah's contract. There's been not really any updates apart from there was a report from Santi in France. He's a France reporter. He has said that PSG are now interested in signing Mo Salah. However, his preference is to stay at Liverpool. Kind of countering that, or not really. Mo Salah did an interview with Sky Sports today where they asked him any update on his contract and if he will be at Liverpool next year. And he said, so far, this is my last year at Liverpool. Now, he's already said this. So,
Mm.
it's not really new. It was very well clickbaited by Sky Sports because they left out so far and kind of just put, this will be my last year at Liverpool. And everyone kind of jumped onto that. Stitches, I'll start with you.
Yeah,
We've talked so much about the Mo Salah situation. I'm sure you're going to mention it. And I'm sure Salah doesn't want it to as well. He doesn't want anything to take away from this season. But at the
yeah.
end of the day, as things stand, as Mohamed Salah has said, he will not be a Liverpool player next year. And as much as we do want to enjoy the season, while this is going on, it's hard to kind of not look at it, really, isn't it? And I know you're frustrated at it as well, but there is kind of I understand everybody's point. I understand why people are frustrated, and I understand why people like yourself kind of just want to just whatever happens, happens. But what are your kind of thoughts on it? Is it,
I try to be pragmatic about this whole thing, right? And but one thing I've come to understand over the years is that I'm gonna have a little mini rant, right? One thing I've come to understand is that these players don't love the club the same way that we do as fans. Now, if you keep that in your head, regardless of whether they were born in Merseyside or not, I don't think they do because it's a job to them. It's like someone saying that you've worked at a company for 15 years. Do you love that company the same? They gave you your first job. You've worked your way through the ranks. It's still a job. Do you know what I'm saying? And ultimately, you are in it for commercial gain. And as a fan, we don't view it that way. Like LFC's in my blood. It's in me. It's in my heart. It affects my moods. It affects how I talk to my children. If the results don't go right, it affects how I talk to my missus. It affects everything in my life. It doesn't necessarily affect the players in the same way. And what I'm hating right now, what I'm finding frustrating right now, and I'm trying to manage that frustration, is that the club is doing something unprecedented right now in regards to, we've just had a transition to a new manager. We were written off at the beginning of the season. None of the pundits put us in the top, challenging for the league. Some, under duress put us in the top 4, but they didn't really believe, right? And it's New Year's, right? First game week into the New Year's, we're sitting 6 points off top with a game in hand, right? And I can't enjoy that, because every time I look online, every time I turn on the TV, I'm hearing about Mo Salah, I'm hearing about Trent, I'm hearing about Real Madrid, who I just don't want to hear about Real Madrid no more. I hate that club. I'm saying it. I hate them. Can you just go away, fall off a cliff, just go and burn in an abyss somewhere, because I'm tired of Real Madrid. I'm completely tired of them, right? And it's just like my joy, my celebration, my banter that I can give other clubs in regards to where we stand is being impacted by the fact that all I hear about is these transfers. I'm fed up with it. I'm done. Listen, it's LFC. It's not Salah FC. It's not Trent FC. I love these players, and I've been on these podcasts giving them praise and whatever. But you're starting to piss me off. It's as simple as that, right? I just want to enjoy LFC, and LFC will be here when these players are gone, right? So the reality is, these contracts in the grand scheme of things are massive to these players, but you're going to have another 3-4 years, maybe 5 or 6, but there's going to be another generation, and LFC is still going to be here. So it's all about LFC, from my perspective. And I get their perspective. They're going to try and capitalize on their career, make the most commercial gain that they can, but you're stealing my joy. Let me live. It's 3 days into 2025, and I just want to be joyful. Let me live. I'm done with the transfer talk. I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, either sign or don't sign. LFC carries on without you. Do what you need to do, but stop dragging it out, right? Trent, if you want to go to Real Madrid, say it with your whole chest, right? Nobody cares. Go. Damage your legacy. Do whatever you want to do. Make the best choice for your commercial gain. Do that. But I'm sticking here with LFC because that's my club. If you want to leave, leave. Salah, I get it. You're negotiating. You want the bigger deal. You want this. Go in them, tell them the number you want, right? Either sign or don't. Just leave me out. Basically, rant done.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. I think, especially, I think the one thing that kind of annoys me is the interviews and, players saying, "Oh, I love the club so much." So this, it's like, and I understand at the end of the day they're doing the interviews just as media, as kind of what they have to do, and they have to answer the journalist questions at the end of the day, but at the same time, go into that interview and be like, "Look, don't ask me about this. I've answered it to you 20 times." And the Trent stuff. I know we're not talking about Trent, and we won't. But I don't know what they talked about on stream yesterday. But it's kind of, he's saying he doesn't want this to be in the public, mate. It's very much in the public. We know that you're talking to Real Madrid. That's not a secret. Like that's just a fact at this point. But you're just chilling there while this is all being said. It's like, kind of, I don't know. It's a difficult one, man. You're never going to get away with it from it now, because it's just how football is, sadly. So I understand your frustration, but I think it's just going to have to be, it's the long term thing with transfers now, sadly. But Reece, we'll go back onto Salah. I know you kind of feel not a similar way, but PSG, I do think if he was to leave to a European club, they probably would be right up there with the teams that are most likely when you look at other clubs that could afford them. I'm still not sold. I still think Salah will sign, but PSG, it's an interesting team that could take him.
Potentially, obviously they'll be interested. There may be other clubs interested as well. Obviously it said that they will be willing to offer him 500,000, but I've heard obviously they've got money with their owners, but in terms of their league's not generating as much money as say like the Prem. So that could be just rumors that in terms of being able to offer him 500,000. In the back of my mind, I still think Salah stays. I just think at the end of the day, he's negotiating. It's frustrating for us as fans because we shouldn't be having to worry about this when we're at the top of the table. Any other club would have dealt with the contracts. But yeah, I'm not really worried. I'm trying not to pay attention to it. But like Stitch has said, anytime I try and tune into Twitter, I try and tune into Sky Sports, anything is just covering things to do with contracts, whereas it's not even talking about so much the Liverpool and United game. It's more overshadowed by interviews, and it's like, I understand, like I said, it's media, but it's just as fans, like Stitch says, we really love the club. Not saying the players don't, but we really do. If Liverpool lose or hearing something about this, it affects the whole day, and you could have a great day and then you're hearing about this. It's not really ideal, but because I'm not in control of it, like I said, what will be. I do think, like I said, Salah's and Virgil's will get sorted out. Trent's, I'm not sure. We have to wait and see, but I do believe Virgil's and Salah's will get sorted out. I just think it'll probably drag on, unfortunately, until the end of the season with our owners.
Yeah, I mean, as you said there, it's probably going to drag on. Hassan, kind of, I know we're beating a dead horse with Salah, and that's kind of why I'm not like sticking around on it too much. But the interviews don't help. The constant re-reporting of things. I mean, Fabrizio Romano, I don't know how many times has just reported the exact same thing and treated it as new news. I don't know how many times I've seen Salah's priority is to stay at Liverpool. It's getting tiring, but are you confident that he will sign with Liverpool in the end?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. I read somewhere the agent of Heitinga, our assistant manager, assistant coach, the agent said that Richard Hughes is like a robot. He is stone cold and in his negotiations. So when Edwards was coming back, some people were over the moon that he's coming back and everything. But I knew him. He's so data driven, and he does everything according to the books and everything what data tells him. And he brought in his mate, Richard Hughes. I had a feeling that he and the summer proved it. They were swift with Arne Slot. They brought him in with all the players. It was steady, and it took. I thought that this contracts will be sorted before January, because now they can negotiate with other teams. They are still hanging. I think that is why Salah is overemphasizing that there's nothing doing. I think they want to close in the deal with Trent first, because he's the youngest one, and he's a right back. So I think with him closing, they can go up to the senior players and manage them. I think with Trent, the reports are not encouraging. I think he's 50-50. I think his camp is like it's a win-win for us. If Liverpool really wants, they will come to all our demands, and if not, we can go to Real because they really want him. With Virgil and Salah, I think they both want to stay and cement their legacy here. So I think if Trent goes or he stays, the other two will be quickly done.
Yeah, I I would like to think Virgil and Salah are staying. I think Virgil is definitely staying. He's been. I think he's the one who has handled this by far the best out of all three of them. he's kind of just said, look, there's no news on it. There's no news. He hasn't kind of been like, oh, well, I'm leaving at the end of the season. You know, he really has took the kind of captain's mentality and just said, no, I'm not telling you anything, which I kind of wish Salah did at the same time. But that's been Salah's tactics every contract he's had anyway. So, you know, it's not like it's new. But couple of comments here. Danino, welcome to the stream, bro. I can't blame the players. It's FSG's fault with their Mickey Mouse business. Salah's agents are in Liverpool, maybe just getting it done. They wouldn't be here otherwise. Yeah, I did see a report that they are going to be in at the United game. So FSG's fault. That's, you know, if you're FSG in or FSG out, that's kind of, you're going to be pushing one side of the scope compared to the other, aren't you? I think, you know, we had just to quickly summarize it. We had a bit of a discussion in our chat that kind of said you can understand why the players haven't extended. You know, why would they extend when, you know, 18 months ago when Klopp announced he's leaving is typically when clubs would do this with players, you know, who are coming to the end of the contract. Why would they sign? You know, we all expected Slot to be kind of top 4 maybe this year, next year. So you can understand why they haven't signed, but it needs to get done in January, I think. Otherwise, it's dragging it out too long. But again, guys, if you're new to the stream, make sure you do leave a like. It helps us out a bunch. Also, subscribe. We stream every single day at 7:30 and all post games. Next story, Federico Chiesa, yet to make any impact at Liverpool. I think maybe 2 or 3 games he's come off the bench. He's been out the match day squad or just in the team now for pretty much since he signed. Slaughter's repeatedly said that he's just not match fit, which again, extremely worrying considering how long he's been at the club. And now there's reports in Italy that a lot of Italian clubs are very interested in him. The report today was that, or last night was that AC Milan, Inter or AC, and then Atalanta are also interested in him, and that he's homesick and basically wants to go back to the Serie A. Stitchers, I'm sure it might not have been with you, but we definitely had this discussion before we signed Chiesa. Italian players in the Premier League, they very, very, very rarely work out.
Yeah.
Is this another case for you? You know, we're very fortunate that we signed him for so cheap, and we could probably flip him for a profit, but it really hasn't gone to plan, has it?
Well, I don't know. What was the plan? we don't know.
If the plan was to flip him, then the plan's gone perfectly to plan. But if the plan was to bring him in as a squad player, which who knows, you know, we've seen so many times over the years. Minamino, for example, Dominic Solanke, Michael Edwards likes to bring players in who he knows a few games, and you know, depending on the price, he can flip them. You know, is this another case of that?
I don't know. I'm on the fence. All things are possible with the Chiesa situation. I think it was a win-win situation for us in regards to, you know, bringing a player in that's had a serious injury that requires time to get up back to the top of his game. I think I saw enough in the game that we played in the cup where he was on, you know, for a very short period of a half, I think, and he created, you know, 3 potentially goal scoring opportunities. So there's enough of a player in there for me to still hang out a candle and think there's potential there. But one thing we know is the Premier League is on relenting. It's physically tasking. And if you're looking at a player that's been out for the duration that he has been and not played top level football for so long, it requires careful management. And I believe that Slot and the team are doing the right things, and it's whether or not we trust in that. I trust in it. I think that they're managing him very carefully. I think that he potentially may get unleashed against Accrington Stanley in the cup. I expect to see him play. If he's not playing in that game, then serious questions need to be asked. I've seen various reports suggesting that we're gonna loan him back to Italy with a sell-on clause on the end of it, or we're gonna sell him outright. But then Slots came out and said, that he's a player that he's looking forward to working with, but they need to get him up to speed. Why can't we just take him at his word? Again, I hate the transfer season. It's like silly season, like all these wild rumors and what happens. I mean, the injury he had, I think, was a pretty serious injury. So the expectation that he's going to hit the ground running when we signed him was a bit of a myth, in my opinion. So I think I'm more leaning towards the fact that we're being very prudent. We're taking care. We've obviously had past experience of things like this with Aquilani, which didn't end very well. But with all the advances in the medical aspects of the game, I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm sure that they're managing it. Let me give you an alternate scenario. Imagine we didn't act prudently and we just threw him in, and then A, he breaks down and gets another serious injury, or B, he doesn't perform. All of a sudden, the negativity in the media around it is even worse. So I think if we take our time, either way, he's either going to get sold, or he's gonna contribute. What I would like to see is that I don't want us to disrupt this team too much in the situation that we're in. I don't want to see too many transfers out. Equally, I don't want to see too many transfers in. This team is doing so well at the moment. The vibes around the team is so good. Why can't we just keep that going? Why have we always got to think about getting rid of someone or bringing someone else in mid-season who's not going to be up to speed with what Slot needs, and we're going to have to rejig the team to accommodate them? Like, the job should be done in the summer. So all of this stuff is it's a distraction. Let's just focus on Man United on Sunday, beat the hell out of them, and then on to the next game. I'm just all of this is just noise.
I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, just to kind of counter a little bit,
Mm.
Chiesa, the injury he had, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. He played a full season for Juventus. A start, I think he played around like 30 to 40 games last season. So he had been playing. Yes, he didn't have a pre-season with Juventus, which is kind of why I think a lot of people didn't expect to see him for maybe the first month or two. But, we're what, 3-4 months into him signing now. He's played one game, and then since then, it's not like they've come out and said he's injured. It's always been he's not match ready, he's not match fit, he's got an illness now, potentially. So it's like, at what point do you have to kind of be like, okay, he's just not Slot's type of player, and that's not anything against him. And look, we've been very fortunate that we don't have to use him at the end of the day. But I do honestly believe he is so far down the pecking order. Slot would now use players out of position. Like, I think he would use Elliott at right wing. I think he would look at using Szoboszlai in the wings if he needed to. And look, we're not probably going to need a winger, knock on wood. But I think it is very worrying to a sense. And also too, I know you hate the transfers, but look at some of our best transfers during the season. But look at some of our best signings we've had. Virgil van Dijk was a January transfer. Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz, both of them. Luis Suarez, my favorite player of all time. We get business done in January, and we very, very rarely miss the mark when it comes to that.
We do, but if you look at that list that you've named, these are not players that we started looking at in January. These were players that we wanted at the start of the season, just didn't get the opportunity to get them at the start of the season, and then that opportunity came up in January, and then we ended up getting them. So look, and you're right, like all of those things you've mentioned are concerns. They are concerns, but I look at it like this: Gravenberch didn't get a sniff for how long, and now he's a mainstay. He's a very important player in our team. We just need to be patient sometimes. Like, it's not every player that can be parachuted into this Liverpool team and be able to play the way that we play, right? It is a very specialist way of playing. It's high octane, high pressing, requires an extreme level of fitness and physicality, and then obviously technical ability. We know he has the technical ability, but you could kind of see in the game that he played that he was technically sharp, but the physicality was a bit of a struggle. He got bullied a little bit. Then he started acclimatizing to it, and then he ran out of steam 40 minutes into a game. Slot, he's probably thinking, I've got 5 subs, and I've got a plan for those 5 subs. If I'm going to put a player that can't last, I might have to waste a sub to get him off the pitch, or to, I'm speculating here, but I like to be positive. So I'm thinking to myself, I see a player there, but clearly there's something not right. Whatever excuses or whatever explanations we're getting, we can all agree that something's not quite right in the fact that he's not being used. I'm just willing to give it a little bit more time than how long have we had him? 6 months, if that. Like what, September? Like he's barely been in the squad with the squad for a long period of time. So I think it requires a little bit more patience.
Yeah, I mean, Reece, I think that's fair. I don't think anyone's written him off, and I think they have. I think that's silly, but the signs aren't great. Let's be honest, are they?
No, it's frustrating because obviously we would have liked to have seen more of Chiesa, but we got to bear in mind, like I said, yeah, he did play a lot for Juventus last year, but playing in Italy and playing in the Premier League's 2 different leagues, and it looks like he's trying to adapt. I'm still trying to give him till the end of the season, and we got to bear in mind that we have quite a strong core, a strong 10 to 13, 14 players. So unless you're an outstanding player, I don't see you just coming straight into the team. Hence why we haven't really signed anyone when they've said that unless there's someone who's gonna be an upgrade on the first team. I rate Chiesa highly. What I've seen of him, I've been impressed with. Obviously, I would have liked to have seen him more, but I think if he wasn't in Slot's plans, I don't think you would have seen him at all. I don't think he would have even said anything positive about Chiesa. I think we kind of just got to wait and see. I still think he's going to play some sort of part towards the end of the season, because as much as I would like us to sign in January, at the minute, the way the PR is at the minute, it don't look like we're going to sign anyone. And if they do get rid of someone, that means they have to sign someone. So for me, it would have been silly business if you were to go and get Chiesa and then to get rid of him in January, because you're not really going to make a profit because he hasn't really played enough games.
Yeah. Can I just make one more observation as well? I just want to point out a couple of things. Van Dijk took that serious injury from the assault from Pickford, right? When did we start seeing the best of Van Dijk again? Because it wasn't the season after. It was at least a year, right?
At least a season, at least.
At least a season. Maybe some would say maybe a season and a half.
Maybe,
if
yeah.
He came back.
Yeah.
Gomez had 2 serious, severe injuries, right? And he's not really ever really claimed his place back. He's only just had a run of games where people starting to say, okay, we're seeing a bit of the old Gomez. He's coming back a little bit. Players are not machines, right? If you've had a serious injury, it could take you a season or 2 to get back to your best. And at Liverpool, the standard is high. It is super high. Not alone adding the factor that this is the Premier League, right? What it's asking you to do physically, cold nights at Stoke, or when Stoke used to be in the league, like midweek, weekend, consistently. If you're not ready for that, you get thrown into that, you could be even worse damaged. You could be damaged even worse. So I just think it's prudent that, and he's only been here, like I said, a very short amount of time. Let's give it a little bit more time before we let the malicious media, as I like to call it, who like to destabilize us, because there's so much good news around Liverpool that they have to put out some negativity, some bad news. They have to speculate. They have to do all of that to just kill our vibes. And I'm not letting it happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, I feel like with Chiesa, it's going to be very much a lot of the same until he gets a kind of run in the game. I mean, Hassan, he's kind of, when you look at our front line, the one massive weakness that we can see is behind Mohamed Salah. Now, if Mohamed Salah gets injured, we don't have anybody at all. We've got Harvey Elliott, and Luis Diaz can play there at a push, but if you bring Luis Diaz back, you have to bring Darwin Núñez back, which is good for nobody. So it's like Chiesa kind of, I think everybody saw when he first joined was, look, he's going to be Salah's replacement, and I do think we are going to need that after Christmas because the games don't stop, and if we're going to be going in the Champions League, going long in that, going long in the FA Cup, and I think we're going to be targeting everything again this year. So Chiesa, he kind of has to work out really, unless you want to play Mohamed Salah, 60 games this season.
Yeah, I agree. I was worried about him, but because he played the game and then he was not even on the bench and he was sick. It was giving me the Arthur Mello vibes. But listening to Stitches and what he said, I think we have to keep in mind he was playing at Juventus and playing under Allegri. The system was super defensive, and now he has come to another league and another type of tactics. He has to get used to it, and it's really fast and furious over here. It's not like there. So I think I agree with him that with Stitches that he has to get used to it. It's been 6 months here. He has to get used to his new teammates, new surroundings. So and I think as you said that we have to go a long way in the cups. We always needed in the previous seasons, like we had a super Origi league. Oxlade Chamberlain was pitching in because he was not getting in the first team. It was Minamino who had a super league season, and last season it was the youngsters who pull us to all the way. So I think this season we are already at the semi-final, but FA Cup is will be there. So and in Champions League, I think there are two matches left, which are for us not that important because we have already qualified. So I think there will be chances for these for our players, and hopefully, touch wood, we don't get any injuries, but it's part of the game. We have to. Like now, Gomez is out, Konate is not. He's coming back, so we because Konza is training with the team throughout. We have to put our trust in Konza. So I think with Chiesa, we have to be a bit patient. Hopefully, till the end of the season. After the season, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed, we can see him, but I don't think anyone would be surprised if we didn't see him at this point. And, at the end of the day, money will be made on him. So it is what it is. Again, guys, if you are new to the stream today, make sure you do leave a like. It helps us out a bunch. If you're on X or Twitter, make sure to come over to our YouTube channel, LFC Transfer Room, and join the stream, get your comments in. And yeah, make sure, again, you subscribe for daily streams. Okay, last topic, and then we'll kind of discuss United a little bit. More of the breaking news: Ben Doak, Ipswich have just had a £16 million bid rejected, and Crystal Palace had a £15 million bid rejected earlier today. Liverpool see him at around 30 million. Unsure if anyone's going to meet that. I think the reports were is that they're very happy with how he's doing on loan at Middlesbrough. The plan is to keep him unless anybody meets the valuation of that 30 million. Stitches, we've seen this before. I feel like I'm having my mind's going back to last summer when clubs were trying to lowball us on Sepp Vandenberg, giving us like 10 million, and we said no, you can give us 25 million. Everyone thought we were crazy, and then Brentford came in, give us 25 million. Same thing happened with Carvalho. Ipswich are apparently going to be bidding again. I think Paul Joyce said they're going to be coming in with a second bid. I would not be surprised if Ben Doak was gone by the end of tomorrow. If I'm going to be deadly honest, I think this is he's that type of player. Now, look, a lot of people in our chat at the moment are saying he's Salah's replacement. how are you gonna let this guy go? He's one of the best dribblers in the world. Yes, there is a potential that he could be Mo Salah's long-term replacement. However, you have to weigh it up. How many players have this steel and have this potential, and they go on to just be a championship mid-prem table player? Now we got him for free. I think we paid Celtic a compensation fee, which wasn't a lot, and for free. So how I look at it, it's the risk versus reward. We can risk, it, and we not take the 30 million, and he becomes this amazing player. Or we can take the 30 million, which for somebody who's never played in the Prem or has played one game in the Prem, 25, 30 million, that is a ridiculous amount of money. And you have to take the reward in that situation and hedge your bets, because the likelihood of him becoming that player is in the Premier League, it's so low. Like, I don't think people understand how rare it is to be to never mind meet your ceiling, but to become, one of the best forwards in the world. And at the moment, I don't know how you feel, Stitches, but Ben Doak is just too raw. His finishing isn't isn't Yes, he's good creative, he's rapid, he's got good dribbling, but you need to score goals as a winger. You need, that's what every team looks for. And playing in the Championship, it's not going to refine that goal scoring ability. And I do think if some players just don't have it. 30 million, would you take it, or would you take the risk?
So I have a kind of different approach to this. So when I first saw Ben Doak play, I thought, wow, great dribble, great speed, really confident, zero end product. Zero end product. But since he's been on loan and I've been observing from a distance, he seems to be adding that to his game. So what that tells me is that he's someone who can develop. And you mentioned a critical word, which was potential. When you're buying players at this age and you're buying players in that category, you're basically paying for the potential. You're paying for what they might become. And from an LFC perspective, we've got to look at it like, yes, he's got potential, but is he going to get into our first team in the next 2 to 3 seasons? I'm not sure he does. So therefore, there will be a value at which we will sell. But I think we're prudent enough now under Edwards and Hughes to put in a buyback clause, which I think will be critical for a player of that caliber. That then comes to, what is that number that we would sell at? And for me, I think Ipswich and Crystal Palace are taking the piss putting in those bids for someone of his value, given the fact that because of PSR, clubs require their youth players to be sold for a decent amount of money because of how it looks on the balance sheet and what it allows them to do in terms of strengthening their squad. So for them to think we're going to accept a paltry amount of 15 or 16 million for someone like Ben Doak, when if you look at some of the youth transfers that happened during the summer for ridiculous fees of 30 million plus, if you look at it in that context, the market's changed. Do you know what I'm saying? The market's changed. You can't come to us with 15 or 16 million and expect us to just give you Ben Doak. That's never going to happen. So you'd have to come with at least double that, in my opinion, or have clauses in there that bring us closer to the 30 plus mark. I say somewhere between 30 and 40 million is what they got to expect to give us for someone like Ben Doak. And I would definitely expect that we would have a buyback clause in there, or at least a first option to buy him for a set fee. I think he's got bags of potential. I like what I see. I think he needs a bit more work. He needs a bit more experience. He's absolutely killing it where he is on loan. He probably needs to go on loan to a higher level for us to really see what he's capable of. But I actually think he's one that potentially could make it. I think he has enough raw materials. So that's my perspective on Ben Doak. I'm a little bit worried as well, the fact that we're selling so many of our young players. It's like all Klopp's kids are being got rid of. It's like, what's going on? We're the team that brings opportunities to these youngsters. But I guess on the other side of it as well, it's positive if you're a youngster for you to join Liverpool, because if you're not going to get the opportunity at Liverpool, they're not going to hang on to you and block your career progression. They allow you to move on. So it's positive on either side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Reese, kind of going on off what Stitcher said then, it helps that these two clubs have recently bought a lot of youth talent from top clubs. And, so for instance, they bought Liam Delap and Omari Hutchinson from City and Chelsea, respectively, for around 20 million. Neither had any Premier League experience as well. Both kind of just was in the Championship on loans. And then Crystal Palace bought Eddie Nketiah, I think, for around 35 million, which, by the way, one of the worst deals in the Premier League last summer. But he was never really great at Arsenal, and was never really lit up the world when he went on loan either. I think what Stitcher said there as well is he does need the next step up. I think that's why these clubs are going there, because they are the next step up. I think if Ben Doak was to stay at Liverpool, the next stage would to be going on loan to a lower side, relegation or mid-table team. So for them to take a risk on it, it makes sense. However, 15 mil, bit insulting, as Stitcher said there, but it makes sense why these clubs want him. What kind of would you be taking it, or would you be saying, let's hold on to him, see how he does in the Prem? Because if we give him a loan in the Prem next year, and he does just as good, his value might be pushing up to 40, the 40s then. So, we can afford to wait a year as well, can't we?
Yeah, I like the thing is with Doak. I like Doak. I think he's a talented player. I think he's very raw. Obviously, the end product kind of needs to improve, but I have been seeing bits and bobs of him at Middlesbrough, like Stitches has said, and you kind of can see he's starting to improve on the end product. The only thing is, I see a comment in the chat, and I kind of agree with that, is that not every young player is going to make it. As much as we want every young player to make it at Liverpool, not just Liverpool, any team, it's only going to be 3 or 4 that come through each batch that are probably going to make it. You got a deep as well. I think he was unfortunate with the injury he got at the time. I think that kind of set him back. If he hadn't got that back, who knows? He might not be on loan right now. I'm not saying he would have been playing, because Salah would still be playing, but it would probably be more. He would probably be featuring more. He might not have necessarily got a Chiesa. I think we got to remember as well, Moneyball with FSG, certain players, there are going to be young players where they sell them, so they make a bit of money off them. They might get an opportunity somewhere else, like what you said, Charlie, where they will get opportunity at Ipswich or Crystal Palace. And also, you got to bear in mind, I think that for all we know, Liverpool could have some sort of buyback clause. And as much as I would like him to stay, I just think the stage we're at, what we're challenging for right now, I don't think he's ready right now, and I don't think we're in a position where we can kind of wait. So we could keep him, and then I think that's kind of setting him back more. If we keep him and then we send him on loan again, because I see it as we're gonna probably buy some players in the summer. So for me, it's highly likely that they probably do, if a bid does come back in that is doubled to around the 30 mark. I think he will get moved on. But yeah.
Yeah, I think again, recently, Rhian Brewster is an unbelievable shout with that. Rhian Brewster, he wasn't just some youth product. He was tipped as the best up and coming English striker. Like, there was people when we signed him, it was like unbelievable that we'd managed to sign him. And now look at him. He's Sheffield United fans don't even want him anymore. So it's imagine we waited another year for Rhian Brewster, his value would have went down even more. It's the risk you take with Ben Doak, it's the risk you take with any other player. So kind of just a question to you, Reece. Would you take 25 million with kind of similar to what we've done with Carvalho and Sepp Vandenberg, where it's, we have like a 17.5% sell-on clause? I personally think that's what will probably happen.
No, I would take that. I still think we could get 30, because it's not only one club, there's 2 clubs interested in him. If it was only one club, whereas because there's 2, it could be a bidding war. So I think you could get that one team who whichever one out of them feels they really need a player in this window, they might actually be like, you know what, we're just going to pay the money because we can't really afford to be flip-flopping. So, but I do think that is a good deal, Charlie, as well. The 25 million plus maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 million in add-ons in terms of based on appearances or the number of goals he gets at the new club.
Yeah, I think that'll happen. But Hassan, what are kind of your thoughts on it? I mean, I think we all want to see every youth talent. You know, we all want a team full of 18-year-old wonder kids, don't we? That's the kind of goal, and the only real club that ever really meets that's Barcelona. Unfortunately, we're not that club. You know, that 30 million becomes pure profit. We can then reinvest that in the summer. I feel like 25, 30 million at this point in his career, it's so hard to turn down. But I understand why clubs really want him as well, you know, because he is Scotland's poster boy. Like, he is their next big thing. So the risk and reward is higher with Doak if you sell him compared to somebody else. But they've been proven right a lot of times in the past. So if they value him at 30 million and someone reaches it, you know, we'll sell it. But do you think it's a good deal, Hassan?
I think, yeah, with reports coming in and Joyce even quoting that 30 million, I think we are ready to sell him. It's sad because, like last season when we won the cup with the kids, it felt so special because it felt like that it was very organic the way we won it. Uh, I think with Edwards and it seems like it's a model like City that they bring in the best of the talents from around England, and uh, there was a huge list from City youth players who are doing really well at other clubs. I think it seems like that model is also being used here. That we bring in, really develop them, and showcase their talents and sell them. And but the flip side is that we should, uh, the fees we get in, we should uh, put it back in the team, because now City, because they were winning so much, they didn't bring in and refresh the squad. The age is up, and with injuries like Rodri, there is no natural replacement for him. So I think it should be balanced, that if we sell on these young guys, we should bring in some, because uh, if he was the right-sided player, without Salah, there is no one. If he goes, we can see with Chiesa, we all discussed his problems. So I think there will be should be a balance, but with two clubs interested in him, there's a price. I think he will be sold on, and as you guys have mentioned, it will be 22 or 25 with some add-ons, and with the buyback clause or first refusal, like we did with Bobby Clark.
Yeah, I think as Paul said here, 30 mil, buyback clause, or kind of first refusal with a decent sell on. I think you'll always get people who complain, but it's an 18-year-old who's never played in the Prem. Like, you can't really turn that down, unfortunately. Okay, really quickly, before we end the stream, give everyone a chance to have a little word on Man United. I know the preview is tomorrow. Biggest game of the year, the first game of the year, of course. But you know, it's United is always one where form goes out the window per se. United in a terrible position at the moment. Joe Gomez is still injured. Connor Bradley and Canate potentially training tomorrow, so not a chance they will be in the starting lineup, which means it will most likely be Kwanzaa centre back. Hassan, I'll start with you first, and we'll go around the other way. Confident for the game? If so, give us your score prediction.
Yeah, as you said, that form goes out of the window. I think whenever they are confident, we play them off the because when we beat them 7-0, they were very confident. But the last season, when we went there, we were really confident, and they beat us. But with their form and new manager, things are not working tactically for them. There's trouble with Rashford and all these things. Hopefully, we can give them a good beating. So I am going for 4-0.
Would love that. Reese, obviously, it's going to be snowing, apparently. There's weather warnings all weekend. We know Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, and the black gloves. They love a game in the black gloves. You know, I don't think they've ever had bad games, especially Luis Diaz against City. I remember he had an unbelievable game. It's going to be at Anfield under the lights, obviously. Still winter, so sun goes down early. Three at the back, we play, you know, over the years, we're just so good at three at the back. And how I think our midfield and attack works at the moment, I can't see any way they win. Are you going in as confident as me and Hassan?
Yeah, I think we'll win. I don't see us battering them, because I don't think he's naive like that, like a Ten Hag, where if he comes into that game too open, then yes, it's going to be embarrassing. I think he, if anything, obviously he's probably going to try and set them out in a hard to break down. I'm gonna go a 2 or 3-0. I am looking forward to this game. I wish we were kind of more talking about United's miseries and that they're in a really, what's it called, a relegation battle. It's kind of crazy for me that since he's come in, and I think he's a good manager, I just think this season's kind of get written off really for them. But it's just crazy that there ain't really been that new manager bounce that you kind of get. It's like it's carrying on. Obviously for us, it's great to see, because like I said, when I was growing up, United were winning most things, and no one really had sympathy for Liverpool. So the fact that they're going through what they're going through, long may it continue. Yeah, 2-2. I'm gonna go 2-0 or 3-0. Maybe they get a goal, but I don't expect us to win like 5 or 6 or 7. If we do, that's great. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be still surprised if they get relegated. I think they've just got too many good players. I think that's a pipe dream, but you know, we can hope. What they really need to do is what we did when Klopp took over from Rodgers. Just accept this season is a write-off. However, I think that's very hard for them because of their Adidas deal. And a lot of their deals depend on Champions League football. So
Right.
if they don't get it, you know, it's kind of curtains money wise, and you know they're already cutting the Christmas bonus and you know the parties off. So you know we've only got great things with Man United's downfall to look forward to, I think, in the future. So you know maybe they stay in the league while we get to witness that. But Stitches, confident?
I'm confident, but I know that they're gonna come with that different energy that they have when they come up against us. Yeah, they're gonna try and throw a monkey wrench in the works. They're gonna try and derail our season one way or another. I know they're gonna do that, but I trust in Slot's tactical nous. I trust in the professionalism of the experienced players in our team who've been them in that situation and been hurt by United in the past, to not take anything for granted. And I personally refuse to lose to a team that has a leaking roof during a manager's press conference. I refuse. I'm not accepting it. Right? They've got leaky roofs in the press conference. They've got leaky roofs in the stand. The fans are losing their minds. They're accepting defeat before the match. This is the perfect time for us to just cement that, please. Yeah, put them in a relegation fight. That's what I want to see, because I've had years of chat from Man United fans, and now it's my turn. Right? I want to see you battling it out with Wolves. I want to see you battling it out with Ipswich and Southampton. That's what I want to see. I don't want to hear any talk about Europe. I don't want to hear any talks about we're the biggest team in the country. I need my team to go over there and be ruthless. Yeah, punish them, murderation. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see any niceties. I want us to go over there and give them a quick 4 by half time. Yeah, and then take it easy for the rest of the game. Just control things. Yeah, that's what I want to see. So I'm going 4-0.
Very nice. I think we'd all be very, very, very happy with that. We've all predicted clean sheets. I'll go against the grain. I think we might concede one. Kwanzaa and looking at some girl in the stands or something as I just drift. So I'll go 5-1. I'm quite confident our midfield's just going to absolutely run over them. So yeah, I'll go 5-1. But a clean sheet would be lovely, especially another one. We've proven we can score against Spurs, West Ham, and I think they're at a similar level to them, but form does go out the window, per se. Off recent history, maybe not so, but we will see. I'm sure it'll be a great game anyway. But again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you are new to the channel, make sure you are subscribed. We stream every single night, every single pre-game, and then every post-game as well, about 15-20 minutes after the game. So make sure you are subscribed and notifications on. Hassan, Stitches, Reese, thank you very much for joining us. You can find all of them on Twitter there, so make sure to follow them. But I've been Charlie. This has been the LFC Transfer Room. Thank you very much for watching today.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.